Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. To all our honored guests, dignitaries that have attended, thank you. Sikh youth, Sikh elders, Sikh nation. Year 2 of our awakening has come to an end. We have made many gains. We have also had some setbacks. The self-proclaimed leaders of the Sikh community who refused to participate in the attempt to gain justice for the Sikh community through the genocide petition are no longer in power. But in the process, we have also lost champions of human rights. The first person to ever utter the words genocide against the Sikh community at the federal level, and former Liberal MP Sukh Dhaliwal, and the first person to put forward a petition to recognize it as a genocide, Andrew Kenya, also lost their positions. The myth that November 1984 only happened in one city was shattered with the discovery of villages in 3 different states, all ethnically cleansed of Sikhs. But our hearts also broke at the sight of Gurdwaras ruined, Sikh homes burnt, Sikh property confiscated, and Sikh families destroyed. The plight of Professor Fuller is another example where innocent Sikhs are criminalized, then exterminated legally in a judicial system of India. MPs from England sent letters to the UN about the kangaroo court system, where an innocent man can be convicted solely based on a testimony he gave under torture. The EU sent letters to India concerning this kangaroo court. The official opposition of Canada, the NDP, made a statement against this kangaroo court system, where innocent people can be persecuted, convicted, and killed. But yet still, an innocent man waits on death row. L.K. Advani, the man who once proudly proclaimed in his book that he had personally pushed Indira Gandhi to attack Harmandir Sahib on our most busiest day, decided to come to Punjab, perhaps believing he would be entering as a conquering king. But on his return, he was met with black flags and hundreds of Sikhs hurling eggs at his yatra. Unfortunately, at one of our protests, 2 Sikhs, a senior citizen and a young Sikh youth, happened to be lost and were surrounded by Advani's men. They were viciously beaten while these Indian extremists were yelling Indian extreme slogans. The police, the Indian police that idly stood by and watched, did not arrest the assailants, but later arrested the 2 Sikhs who were beaten to death, parading their bodies so the world can see. Last year, when one of the key organizers of the Sikh genocide, Kamal Nath, came to Canada, we pleaded with Premier McGuinty not to shake hands with this killer. McGuinty laughed. And he went ahead with this meeting. But I'm sure he laughs no longer, because for the first time in the writing of Bramley Gore Malton, the community decided not to blindly vote one way, but instead elected the first Kestari Sikh to NDP caucus, Jagmeet Singh. This resulted in the breaking of the Liberal majority. Year 2 has passed. Year 3 is upon us. The problems we face are serious. The obstacles ahead will test our commitment and dedication. This isn't a Bollywood movie with our extremely bad plot and some awful dancing where at the end evil will be finished in 2 hours. This is real life. And each of us here today are making Sikh history. Never before have Sikhs lived such different lives from one another. The lives we experience here in Canada is completely different than what our brothers and sisters experience in Punjab, India. This is not due to a geographical location difference. It is due to a systematic plan, discussed in depth by many of our speakers. Throughout history, whenever a government is in power and feels threatened by a minority, this plan is implemented. We have seen this plan implemented against the Native Indians or Aboriginal people of Canada. We have seen this plan implemented against the African slaves in North America. We now see this plan implemented against the Sikhs. The plan is very simple. Deny the people their religion, their language, their culture. Promote the new religion, a new language, a new culture, and at the same time promote substance abuse so that no organized resistance can be formed. Since the creation of the Indian state in 1947, the government refused to recognize Punjabi as a language. In all schools across Punjab, Hindi was taught to all our children. The language was denied. The government of India refuses to recognize Sikhism as an independent religion. They write it off as a caste of Hinduism, even though our gurus officially denounced the caste system. The religion is denied. Rewriting of our history and our cultural identity takes place. Today, very few history books cover the role Sikhs played in the freedom movement of India. They account it to Mohandas Gandhi and the Nehru dynasty. But by official government records, 73% of all people killed in the freedom movement were Sikh. 80% of all people deported to the Andaman Islands for life in sentence during the freedom movement were Sikh. 80% of all people sent to the gallows were Sikhs. 60% of the Indian Liberation Army were Sikhs. Yet Sikhs made less than 1% of a united India, or governed India by British, including Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. The British offered Sikhs their own country, but after false promises, where Gandhi and Nehru promised the world to our community, Sikh leaders were tricked into staying with the Union of India. Upon independence, all promises were denied and said sorry. Punjab today faces a drug epidemic, while other parts of India goes untouched. They say 1 in 7 youth, whether female or male, are on some sort of narcotics. This, for a community nearly 50 years ago, did not understand the concept of drugs. Our resistance is being foiled. The world's sharpest sword is meaningless in the hands of a person who refuses to wield it. These facts are useless if you today do not wish to act. So today I ask you, Sikh Nation, how many of you are willing not just to listen? How many of you today are willing to do something about it? How many of you are willing to dedicate your time, your energy to the betterment of the community? How many of you are willing to protect our children from the sinister plans in place? How many of you today are ready to stand shoulder to shoulder, and when you hear the cries, Bant ki, you reply Jeet. Bant ki, Jeet. Bant ki, Jeet. Bant ki, Jeet. If you feel the hands of our Shaheed Singhs and our Gurus on your shoulders, pushing you to stand, if you feel the gaze of our unborn children looking at you for protection, if you feel the fire of injustice burning in your hearts and a desire to do something, I implore you, join Sikh Activist Network, join Sikhs for Justice, join different organizations so that you too can be a part of Sikh history, so that you too can do something for our community. Our struggle is a long one. We will not obtain freedom easily, but seldom is freedom obtained easily. Freedom is only given to those who deserve it, those who are willing to fight for it, those who are willing to do their duty and obligation for it. And if you are those, then you will obtain it. In closing, I'd like to leave you with a short story. This story was told to me by my grandfather. He learned it from his grandfather and so forth. The authenticity of the story may be in question, but it's not why I tell you. He told me once after a battle, the Sikh regiment or Sikh army lost against a Mughal army in one battle. The Nishan Sahib bearer Sikh, whose responsibility it was to carry the Nishan Sahib, was captured and brought forward to the captain of the opposing army. The army captain said, "I will let you live. Drop your Nishan Sahib." The Singh said no. The captain walked forward and said, "I will cut your arm off if you do not drop this Nishan Sahib now." And as the captain swung the sword, the Singh threw the Nishan Sahib in the next hand as his arm was chopped off. The captain looked at him and said, "Drop the Nishan Sahib." The Singh said no. The captain said, "I'll chop off your other arm." And as he tried to chop off the arm, the Singh threw the Nishan Sahib and started to balance it on his head. The captain looked at him and said, "With this final blow, I will behead you, and the Nishan Sahib will fall. What is the point?" The Singh said, "As long as I breathe, I will do my duty. I will fulfill my obligation to the Sikh Qawm, to the Sikh Panth. It is not whether I live or die that concerns me. It is my duty to my people. When I die, the responsibility of the Nishan Sahib is no longer mine. It will be in the Guru's hands. But as long as I live, this responsibility is mine." And lo and behold, the captain took the final blow. But the story I tell to you today to make you realize your obligation, your duty, your responsibility. Recognize it, embrace it. You are but one chapter of a long chapter of Sikhs who have struggled against injustice. And it is on our shoulders this responsibility now lies. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.